We are living in a very exciting and powerful time. On the deepest level of consciousness, a radical transformation is taking place. As the evolution of human consciousness gains greater and greater momentum, we are being challenged on a planetary level to let go of our present way of life and create a new one. In a sense, our old world is dying and a new world is coming into being. For many of us, the old world was based on our external focus. Having lost our fundamental spiritual connection, we have believed that the material world is the only reality. Thus, feeling essentially lost, empty, and alone, we have continually attempted to find happiness and fulfillment through external things: money, material, possessions, relationships, work, fame, food, drugs, and so on. The new world is being built as we open to a higher power of the universe within us and consciously allow the creative energy to move through us. As each of us connects with our inner spiritual awareness, we learn that the creative power of the universe is inside of us. We also learn that we can create our own experience of reality and take responsibility for doing so. The change begins within each individual, but as more and more individuals are transformed, the mass consciousness is increasingly affected. The foundation for life in the new world is built on the understanding that there is a higher intelligence, a fundamental creative power or energy in the universe that is the source and substance of all existence. The words and concepts that have been used to describe this power are innumerable. Here are just a few: God, Goddess, higher power, source, spirit, essence, being, soul, inner guidance, higher self, the universe, life force, the Tao, Buddha nature, Great Spirit, the Force, the Light, I Am, Cosmic Intelligence, Christ Consciousness, all that is. These terms are attempts to express an experience of knowingness that is difficult to convey in words and rational concepts. Each of us has this experience within us. The words we choose to describe it are merely the labels that suit us best. The universe has both personal and impersonal aspects. As I surrender, I trust more. I find my relationship with this higher power becoming more personal. I can sometimes sense a presence within me, guiding me, loving me, teaching me, encouraging me. In this personal aspect, the universe can be a teacher, a guide, a friend, a mother, a father, lover, creative genius, or fairy godmother. In other words, many of my needs and desires can be fulfilled through this inner connection. I often find that the most powerful communion with the universe is when I am alone, especially out in nature. At such times, the places inside of me that sometimes feel empty are filled with the energy of spirit. Once we acknowledge the higher power of the universe, the obvious question arises: how can we contact this power and gain access to it? After all, if there is within us a superior wisdom or a deeper knowledge than we normally experience, by tapping into it, we should be able to receive valuable guidance in how to live well in this confusing world. By learning to contact, listen to, and act on our intuition, we can directly connect to this inner wisdom and allow it to become our guiding force. This is where we find ourselves in opposition to life as most of us have been taught to live in the world. In modern Western civilization, we have learned to respect and even worship the rational, logical aspect of our being and to dismiss, depreciate, or deny our intuition. We do acknowledge the ability of animals to seemingly understand things that are way beyond their rational capacity. We call this instinct, but it's a mystery that defies logical explanation. so we shrug our shoulders and dismiss it as something vastly inferior to the magnificent human ability to reason. Our culture's entire value system is firmly based on the belief that the rational principle is superior and, in fact, constitutes the highest truth. The Western scientific tradition has become our religion. We are taught from a young age to try to be reasonable, logical, and consistent to avoid emotional, irrational behavior and to suppress our feelings. At best, feelings and emotions are considered foolish, weak, and bothersome. At worst, we fear they may threaten the very fabric of our civilized society. In our worship of the rational and fear of the non-rational, we deny not only our emotions and our instinctual energies, such as sexuality and aggression, but also our natural intuitive sense, which is meant to be a primary guiding force in our lives. Generally, less technically developed societies approach life with a deep awareness of and respect for the intuitive element of existence. Every moment of their daily lives is guided by a strong sense of connection with their creative force. However, it is their very lack of technical development that has contributed to their gradual destruction or subversion by modern civilization. In human evolution, it seems that as our rationality has evolved, we've grown increasingly fearful of the other aspects of our natures. We've attempted to control these dark forces by creating authoritative rule structures that define right and wrong, good and bad, and appropriate and inappropriate behavior in a very heavy-handed way. We justify this rigid approach to life by blaming everything on non-rational nature, from our personal emotional dramas to social ills such as drugs, alcohol addictions, crime, violence, and war. The truth is that all aspects of our being are integral, important, and valuable parts of us. The more we distrust and suppress these energies, the more likely they are to eventually burst out in distorted ways. In other words, our problems are not necessarily caused by our emotional, non-rational nature running wild and uncontrolled. Instead, both personal and social problems are more likely to be the result of fear and the suppression of our emotions, instinctual nature, and intuition. Once we accept the reality of a higher power that is channeled to us through our intuition, it becomes clear that many of our personal problems and the ills of the world are actually caused by not following our intuition. A rational mind is like a computer. It processes the input it receives and calculates logical conclusions based on this information. The rational mind is finite. It can only compute the input it has received directly. In other words, our rational minds can only operate on the basis of the direct experience each of us has had in this lifetime. The intuitive mind, on the other hand, seems to have access to an infinite supply of information. It appears to be able to tap into a deep storehouse of knowledge and wisdom, the universal mind. It is also able to sort out this information and supply us with exactly what we need where we need it. Though the message may come through a bit at a time, if we learn to follow this supply of information piece by piece, the necessary course of action will be revealed. As we learn to rely on this guidance, life takes on a flowing, effortless quality. Our life, feelings, and actions interweave harmoniously with those of others around us. It is as if each one of us played a unique instrument in a huge symphony orchestra conducted by a universal intelligence. If we play our part without regard for the conductor's direction or the rest of the orchestra, we will have total chaos. If we try to take our cues from those around us rather than the conductor, it will be impossible to achieve harmony there are too many people all playing different things. Our intellect is not able to process so much input and decide on the best note to play at each moment. However, if we watch the conductor and follow his direction, we can experience the joy of playing our unique part, which can be heard and appreciated by everyone, and at the same time experience ourselves as part of a greater harmonious whole. When we apply this analogy to our lives, we see that most of us have never realized the conductor was present. We have lived the best we can, using only our intellect to understand our lives, to figure out the best course of action. If we are honest with ourselves, we will readily admit that we are not making great music under the guidance of a rational mind alone. The dissonance and chaos in our lives and in the world certainly reflects the impossibility of living this way. By turning into intuition and allowing it to become the guiding force in our lives, we allow our inner conductor to take its rightful place as the leader of the orchestra. Rather than losing our individual freedom, we'll receive the support we need to effectively express our individuality. Moreover, we will enjoy the experience of being part of a larger creative process.